might think that I just come in there and look for knockouts, and that's not the case. You know, I'm actually a sharp, smart fighter.
So, well, wait, I'm here. Who wanted to fight with me?
I really don't care who's in front of me. I don't feel like no fighter can beat me.
Demolish everybody, to be honest. Everybody that's in my way. The pinnacle to any weight division is to have all the belts, all of the titles.
Welcome to Bodywork. Welcome back. It's Michael Rogers. Welcome to Bodywork Boxing. It feels so good to be back. How y'all doing out there, man? I'm excited to talk about some boxing, man. And it's always good. I know for me, when I connect the dots, I read the tea leaves, you know, I turn this stone over, I go back over here and research this, and I look and I analyze, man. Then I just use a little bit of my common sense, and I come up with these little inklings or notions, especially when it comes to certain fighters. And probably the last time I kind of had this feeling was when I really got onto Subriel Matias. And what you got to understand in this boxing game is that it's always evolving, right? There are always going to be new players in the game. Yes, you need to have your core boxers. And for these guys that say, I'm not no fan of no boxers, it's probably not the channel or the category for you. I don't give a fuck about no casuals. I'll tell you that. Because casuals will lead you by the nose. They had their two fingers up in your nostrils, guiding you around. And that's a dangerous, compromising position. You feel me? I cater toward the hardcores, and what I want us to understand, what I need us to understand, what I hope we can understand is that the sport of boxing is always evolving. You got your core people that you like, you know what I'm saying? One might dip off and be in the cut, another one might retire, but it's just like everything else, just like the league in basketball, just like football, like everything else. You know what I'm saying? Some hey, it's just like life. You know, like Scarface said, you know what I'm saying? Hey, somebody go down in the ground, and at the same time a baby is born. And what I've been doing here lately, and Pop can attest to it as well, because he says it a lot. He's like, man, you got to find some new fighters, man. You got to find some new, you know, blah, blah, blah. So a lot of people were out here fixated on, they either fixated on certain divisions, right? Because I remember when I was doing my thing on Anyway, I always been doing my thing on Tank. I started doing my thing on Subriel. People shitted on me and used my content when it came to Anyway. They shitted on me and used my content when it came to all my talking points. They did the same thing with Subriel Matias. You know what I'm saying? So a couple people was doing it with Earl Spence, but Earl Spence was polarizing of some sort, because depending on if you were promotional gangbanging, like they say, then Earl Spence was always getting a lot of hate. You know, so it was polarizing on that. And I've been looking at everything, man. I've been analyzing something, man, and I asked myself a question. Because in dialogue and more so recent events, you know, is leading me to believe that I might not can say undoubtedly that he's the most dangerous man in boxing. I can say undoubtedly that he's one of them right now. Like right now in May of 2025, all things considered, I can say he's one of them. I can say he's one of them. He's one of about, I would say he's one of about 5. You know what I'm saying? He's one of about 5. You know, and so tonight I'm gonna do a little piece on Brian Norman, and we're gonna go over some things, and we're gonna pretty much answer some questions or give some background to what I've been seeing, you know, because I'm sick and tired of the beaten path. You know, I'm sick and tired of going down and letting these people out online. Just like yesterday, T.O. and Devin was fighting. Today it's gonna be T.O. and Boots. You know what I'm saying? I'm just like, man, don't nobody want to see either one of them pieces of shit type fights. You know what I'm saying? Like, but it is a common denominator in there. Oh yeah. His name is Brian Norman Jr. And it seems that here recently he's been I can't say avoided, but he's been getting maneuvered around. You know, he's been getting maneuvered around, man. So I said, man, it's something about this dude, man, that people they're not running. They're not running up to see him, you know, and I'm gonna go into it, man. I'm gonna get into it. What's going on, AC?
Man, what's good, man? This is a great topic to get into, man. It's a good fighter to break down and really let people understand who this kid is. It seems as though he's getting a bad rap for whatever reason it is. People have not yet sold themselves on him. They're giving him saying he's trash, he's this, he's that, blah blah blah. How he gonna want to do X, Y, and Z when, you know, he ain't making over 300,000 yet, you know. But every fighter has gone through that same pay scale. Even some of our favorite fighters, from the Canelos to the Floyds to the Terrence Crawford, Errol Spence, all of them have gone through that pay scale. So why is it the concentration that he should stay in that pocket? He doesn't deserve anything else. Is it an insight of fear? It's like you're looking at a cloudy day and you're wondering whether or not I'm going to wear my new sneakers or not, because I really don't want to get caught in the rain. And that's like Brian Norman right now, in my opinion.
And salute Cookie Monster. Cookie Monster say Bodywork. Cookie Monster say mic check, 1 2 1 2. Sounding great as always. I'm glad I'm clear. That's what I like to hear. But I kind of you was getting ready to steal some thunder. You was getting ready to steal some thunder, but I kind of got it mapped out in a certain framework. I got a little framework that I'm working with for this conversation, so we'll have a little bit of order and people can know logically how I'm looking at it. And this is what it boils down to.
Yeah.
One, we're gonna start with number one, his background. Right? We're gonna start with his background. That's number one. The background that he actually has is that he's the son of a fighter. Right? That's because I was looking, because they're trying to lump all of these boxing dads all in the same category. And I'm like, okay, I was trying to differentiate them because I don't like doing it, because right now it's been toxic and a lot of them have been avataring their sons. And I was looking at, because I could judge things in a vacuum, you know, but I can make my comparisons and keep everything focused on one. So I'm going to focus on Brian Norman and his situation. But one, he's the son of a fighter. So we all know, and people know, that when things get passed down, right, everybody tend to say, oh man, you got your mother's eyes, or you got your mother's hair, or those are the things that's on the outside. But we all know that not only do things on the outside get passed down, things on the inside get passed down. So when you are, it's just like a pit bull. If you have pit bulls and they've been fighting and they have a litter, it'll take, especially if they were the kind that were okay with people but couldn't no other dog be around, or vice versa, or they were just straight fighting dogs. Like it's certain type where they don't like people, they don't like dogs. They just do whatever the owner is, and the owner got to keep them away. Well, when that dog has an offspring, some of those characteristics are in the litter, and some of it does have a play in where they're raised and how they're consumed and all that. But a lot of the things that they have inside of them are passed down from their father. So he's coming from a guy who used to lace him up, went pro, had a level of success, was getting up there in paydays, and for whatever reason, they said he had like vitiligo. That's what he was saying, or not vitiligo, what you call it, vertigo. Damn, I'm just messing up. Not vitiligo. We could be able to see it if he had it. But vertigo. He had vertigo.
That's that Uncle Ruckus stuff, the vitiligo.
Yeah.
In reverse.
Right. Yeah. So he's coming from, so that off the top, that separates him from, like, other than Shane and them, but Shane not in the conversation, Shane and Sugar Shane, other than something like that, right? Or like Vargas and what he got some of the same thing, like Vargas and the Vargas boys, and I'll start to touch on them too as well, you know what I'm saying? But as an example, when your father put on the gloves and laced them up and had some level of success, and then they have offspring and they actually want to go into the business, you actually have a head start. So a lot of the criticism that Brian Norman get is like, this is like, I noticed that he's on the other side of a lot of conversations for all of the wrong reasons. Because if your father was actually in the sport, in the trade, not just talking out his ass, and then more recently got out there and showed somebody who be online running their mouth really how to do this, son, like by action. You know what I'm saying? So I look at people who take action, not just words. So by default, he has a head start. That's part of his background, having a father that was in the sport, active, has some success, the things inside of his DNA that already gives him a head start on anybody else. Like me, my son, he'll probably have, like, he just so happened to love football. At first he didn't like it, but now he's really starting to love it. And I'm thinking, okay, well, cool. I'm sure that there's some things that's been passed down from me that passed down to him. And if he applied, he will be more successful than the average person who played that sport. So that's one thing. One thing is having a father in the background. So that's one thing that separate them from, because a lot of people say, oh man, somebody in your corner who never laced them up. And that's a lot of criticism. Like, if you think about it, Devin is getting a lot of that criticism now when it comes down to build, because it's people's like, yeah, you could have been around for training and this, but a lot of people will tell you, well, if you haven't never been in there and this and this and that, and you'll ask the average coach, yes, you can have success having somebody in the corner who never laced them up. Because they always say, it's a saying that says, those who can't do, teach. Well, his father can do, and his father, I'm sure his father put some things in him and instilled some things in him. I've seen some interviews. I've seen one interview where he said, you know how young Norman was at first. He was like, nah, I had to get rid of that. I had to toughen him. I had to do this. I had to do that. So he was hands-on with the experience. The other one is the background, right? He's down there in the A. He's down there. He's down there in the A. And Atlanta was my second home for a while. And I know how it is down there. And if you look around at the landscape of boxing right now and today, like undoubtedly, other than let's see, the guy over there on Najee Lopez, he has a country, but then he's in the A. So that's one of the only names, or one of the most recognizable names, if you're in the sport, that you can actually recognize and say, hey, yeah, he's from the A. So he's actually representing a big ass city that's really on the rise. It's known for a lot of other things like the new Hollywood or young Hollywood or whatever. It's taken over as far as the entertainment. But coming from the A and having that background, he's one of the only names I can say. Like, who else, like right now, name recognition, who can you say from the A, AC?
From Atlanta, as far as a boxer name recognition? Yeah,
right now.
Brian Norman. Outside of him, it'll probably be Evander Holyfield.
Exactly. Right? So he kind of had this background, and then you got to look at it. In a time and an era where we're just coming off of the whole Top Rank thing, where they was having this NBF thing, and they were having people claim that, oh yeah, it's all about these type of fighters and those type of fighters. A lot of them guys that they were getting over there were coming out of the Olympics. Like, if you look at it, it's like, that's why they say the Top Rank is the starter pack. Yeah. And a lot of the guys that they get come out from the Olympics, they pretty much have a great head start. They already are like made men of sort. Like Shakur was a made man. Floyd was a made man. It's a lot of people that came straight out of the Olympics. Keyshawn, he was a made man. You know, came out, even though Keyshawn had a little affiliation with Eddie and all this before he went back in and it came back out, but wound up getting with Top Rank. And Top Rank gets a lot of these guys that were like made men already. They just really needed the starter pack. They needed a promotional company. They might have to get with the right team to actually take them off into a trajectory. But looking at this young man, it's almost like when you kind of look at it, you at first glance, you would be like, he almost came out of nowhere. But if you look at his record, and we can do that, we can pull up BoxRec. But if you look at it, he came out of nowhere, and he came up through Top Rank in a way to where they kind of aligned him almost to where it looked like they was kind of trying to set him up. Like he was an afterthought. They put on something. They put it out there to where, yeah, you do this and you're going to have a title, thinking that the guy from California was actually going to win, and he upset the apple cart. So he already went against all odds, mind you, he came up out of nowhere, and this is getting into number 2, the rise, like how he actually came up through there. That's number 2, the rise, because he was a targeted guy to where they was pretty much trying to get him out the way. But you got to think, somehow he rose up through them rankings, and somehow he overcame whatever kind of little idiosyncrasies or deficiencies he had, enough to where they're like, well, we're going to put him in there, trying to make our guy look good, because it was really Santillan, and the man went over there in the man's backyard in front of his own home crowd. He did it as a road warrior and crumpled the dude, right? And that's when it was like, oh shit, people was like, man, who was this? And they kept harping on his past performances, even though he has had some performances, whereas you would look at him and say, oh man, you know, I know when I first seen him, because I heard everything about him online before I actually seen him fight, and it was one of those things where overpromise, underdeliver type things. And what was going on at the time and the people that was hyping him at the time, when I saw him, I'm just like, oh man, I'm thinking, the way you know how it go when people just, like when somebody tell you about a good ass movie, and you be like, oh shit, and you go and you look at it, you be like, I mean, it was straight, you know what I'm saying? I don't know why you getting on. It was almost, I'll give you another example. The dude who actually taught me the business of trucking, he used to always talk about The Weeknd, and there's one song that The Weeknd had, and he was talking it up, and I finally heard it. I'm just like, man, I mean, he can sing. I mean, his music's straight, but like, yeah, that shit don't do nothing for me. It was kind of like that when I first seen him. And also, I had known from what was going on in YouTube, and people were talking about the sparring. And I'm one of the people that think that sparring is just like Vegas. What happens in Vegas should stay in Vegas. Yeah. So I believe what happened in sparring should stay in sparring. But they was talking about an episode with Tank. You know what I'm saying? I'm just like, oh man, young nigga trying to make a name, you know, just like everybody else who have a story about Tank and sparring. And I heard about Bud. Young nigga trying to make a name off Bud and blah, blah, blah. But I hadn't seen it. I hadn't got a chance to see the dude in the ring. I just was hearing all of the fluffy stuff online. So the first time I seen him, I was like, eh. The next time I seen him, I was like, hold on. Maybe that man had a bad night at the office. You know what I'm saying? Like, damn, like he punching. I'm like, okay, like, and it was the style of fighting. It I ain't gonna say it was quite like Tank, but it's an action. He's an action fighter, and I was actually kind of engaged. Like I was looking like, oh shit, okay, and like instantly I was like, all right, okay, I'm gonna drop that other performance. I'm gonna just look at this dude now, and the way I was looking at him was just like, yeah, he's entertaining. He's gonna be all right. Like I was like, yeah, the style. People gonna want to see that style. and somehow, some way up through Top Rank, not having an Olympic background, coming out of a place where there's not too many people in Atlanta that's bubbling. It's like he's crossing a lot of barriers on his rise.
Yeah, and people are seeing the thing with Brian Norman also with his rises. People see the potential, and that's the main thing you're talking about here. At least that's what I'm getting. And people are seeing the little tweaks. Each time he goes out, you see just a little something different. But lately, in his last 2 outings, you saw something way different. But I'll let you finish.
Yeah, let me let everybody know, man. I see I was just going through my little thing, but Johnny Allison, hey, Bodywork and AC, what you fellas think about DAP's new grills showing off his shiny teeth? I'm a parking lot for a second. I'm gonna speak to this, but look, man, I'm over with the Haneys and all the things that they say and do, because when I watched that Andre Ward interview, he said, man, yeah, man, I thought about what my father said, and my father told me that this money will have to last me for the rest of my life. He said, I'm done buying watches. Once he got done, you know, the first thing he did, they had a short with him going to go buy a new fucking watch. So I'm done with that. I'm done with that trinket shit. Everybody want a motherfucking trinket. If he get more like the dude that I'm talking about right now, he would be collecting books like me. I haven't got there yet, but that's what I think, man. I think I'm tired of them dudes, man. Easily baked, but salute Johnny Allison. Easily baked. Bodywork, salute Easily baked. Manny's back, 9-time champ. I think he just may beat Barrios. I mean, that's just, I mean, you know, no, hey, Barrios got to get his bread. You know what I'm saying? I mean, you know, I don't agree with it. I don't think the dude should have been able to leapfrog nobody. But remember, when certain people go do things for the bag, it's justified with, oh, I'm doing it for the bag. But then you hear rumors of other things and people saying they doing this for the bag. And it's like, oh, man, why would he do that? Why would he fight? So I'm over that shit, too. Easily baked. Salute everybody up here. Easily. Cokie. Salute Bodywork in chat. Salute Cokie. Hope you doing good, Cokie. Salute everyone. Yeah, Norman, Ennis, my dog, Ringside Reaction. Salute Ringside. Appreciate you coming through. Bills. Salute Bills. Yeah, the 300 is in the building. Brown Norman Jr. can punch a lot harder, it seems, than Comp. Right, okay. So, yeah. All right, so I'm caught up, y'all. I want to give a shout out to everybody. I'm not ignoring y'all. I just want to get through this so we all can cook. You know what I'm saying? I'm just going to get through the basics of everything. I'm just going to get through the basics, right? So, where we at? Let me see. We were talking about his rise, and yes, a lot of it is I'm looking at his potential, right? But this next point, this next point right here, his maturity. See, it's different when you seen it too, because you pointed out as well. But the young man's maturity. See, a lot of the I got kind of hyped. Like I got kind of caught up in. I don't know, man. I'm gonna toot my own horn for a second. I think that I'm more sensible than a lot of people. Like I could be sitting there and I can allow you to be just as adamant about anything that you like to say and how you feel. And I can sit there and feel the polar opposite, but be okay in my stance and still have a conversation. But a lot of times when you're having a conversation and you're out here online and you're talking to different people, they were still trying to lump all these boxing dads together. And I'm like, no, we gotta qualify these or disqualify these guys. We gotta groom, like nobody want to take the time and sift through this shit. You know what I'm saying? They don't ever want to sift through the process. So what kept happening was a lot of people was associating Brian Norman Sr. doing interviews and the things that he say, even though when other fathers say it, they say, oh man, he just promoting his son. But I see that some people get a pass for just promoting their son, right? And then other people's like, nah, man, he need to get the fuck out of here. Well, I don't think so. I think he was doing just like everything else. And some of the same criticisms that I had for Devin when Bill does all the talking, when Schofield Sr. does all the talking, I wanted to hear more from the fighters. Well, something happened to where, I'm not saying it's quite equal. It's not quite equal. But something happened to where it's like, hold on, man. What? I'm not gonna fall into the trap. You know what I'm saying? Brian Norman, he make a lot of sense to me. You know what I'm saying? I get what he's saying. I have patience, and I can actually listen and hear what I need to hear, and knowing that, okay, part of it is to talk your shit. Part of it is just to talk your shit. But I had to peel back a couple layers of this onion and say, okay, outside of talking the shit, he's guiding his son. He has a history in boxing. Okay, now I want to hear from Junior. And so when I started hearing from Junior in some of the interviews he said, I said, man, this dude is smart. This dude is different. This dude got that, and if you've been down to Atlanta or if you ever experienced the Southern hospitality, you already know, like, unless you out there, you in the city, or you go out to these places, like, a lot of people from down, like my brother, I call him my brother, he's like my best friend since the Army. He's down there. His cousin, which I consider my cousin, he's down there. So I have family down there. I spent time down there. So when you meet a lot of the people from down there in Atlanta and their personality, and they're real laid back until they need to turn up, if they're not just hotheads. So I already knew, because I've been around cats like that. I've been down there. I've been all through Atlanta. Like I practically lived there. You know what I'm saying? For years. So I know, but when I heard him and the things that he was saying, I said, oh man, this dude is mature, right? And then I got confirmation the other day when I seen an interview with his coach on the Boxing Voice. And that's the best part of the Boxing Voice. I do give them guys that they do get some of the best interviews. And unlike the narrative around what they try to do with the shit that's being said in the interviews, I compartmentalize and understand the questions that are being asked, and then the message or the overall thing or message that whoever they're interviewing want to convey. And I got confirmation from watching that interview that he said, man, this dude got an old soul, like he's wise beyond his years. He's intellectual. Like if you sit there and you actually listen to what he say, yes, he's not messy. He's not messy. He takes his time. He's deliberate in communicating. Yeah, he will check you, but he will do it with common sense. In a I ain't gonna say a polite way, but like he's a reasonable dude. He's not loud. He's not boisterous. You know what I'm saying? But he will check you, and he got a sense of humor. Like, and just like anything else, the more he gets in front of the camera, the more comfortable he's going to be, because he already is smart enough to not get led by the nose by a lot of the interviews that I see him in. He can take control, check what he need to check, but still be personable and still answer the questions, not do a whole bunch of blah, 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 blah. He also says that he's a reader. He reads books all the time. Like something that these young guys, and then if you think about him at 24 years old, if you listen to what a lot of these guys at that age are on, they're not on that. They on trinkets. They on all the shiny things. They on Twitter, going off, going ham. The man stays out the way. He works on his craft. When he come out, and if you think about it, he don't like you. He fights dangerously, but his personality is like cool, calm, and collected, with a little bit of like Southern swag, like a little Southern swag. You know what I'm saying? So I think that his maturity sets him apart, because at that age, we can see that that's not what these young guys is on. They Twittering, I'm the best in the world, all over the, you know what I'm saying, all over the planet, in every interview and all this. I beat shit down, King Kong leg. Man, if Ali was still here, I would have slapped blood out his mouth. Like, they just crazy with it. He's not like that. From everything I've seen, he's not like that. Salute, Bills.
What's going on, buddy? What's going on, Chef Curry? My Flash brother AC.
What's good?
Yeah, man. What's good? We were chopping it up on them Brian Norman, man. They ain't want to hear me, you know. But I never go without being unheard. You know what I'm saying? But that's what happens when you down south and your daddy got hoopties. Your daddy had money. He could have got Ferraris and all this shit, but your daddy got hoopties. Your daddy got a shop. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
you humble. Already growing up, you humble, even though you know your daddy amongst millionaires and he can floss if he wanted to and try to show you all this flashy shit, but he don't want that. You know what I mean? It's like,
Right.
I could have been had it. You know what I'm saying? And he 24. Like, that's, and you hear him talk, you know what I'm saying? But, you know, that's what y'all cooking on, you know, the Norman. But I say something about what I was saying the other day. We need to start holding these promoters accountable, because peanuts, we talking about peanuts, and they try to make it seem like they going leaps and bounds just to pay these fighters, when these fighters putting their life on the line, and they can just add something extra, like a soda, a price of a drink, price of a seat, anything, just to pay these fighters more, just so they can get their money. Because at the end of the day, it's all about the promoters getting paid. They ain't worried about these fighters, man. They ain't worried about these fighters.
Right, and that's this the second to last one right here. I'm almost through, but you right up, you in the Kool-Aid right here, because look, this is number 4. It's position. See, what we got to understand is that Brian Norman, like, see, because we was calling, everybody knows that 147, the welterweight division, is the glamour division, right? And a lot of people thought that it lost a lot of luster when Errol Spence and Bud, when they exited stage left, right? And they moved whatever Errol doing, he's chilling right now. Bud done went up, you know what I'm saying? He getting ready to go up again. So everybody like, oh shit, the welterweight division ain't shit. I was one of the ones saying, oh, hold on. It's a new crop, and all the people that was waiting in line when the pipeline was clogged up, I said they gonna have to sort it out. Right, and so I started calling it something else. I called it D block. I said, because it looked like it's going to be more rough and rugged until something happens and they all mix it up and somebody comes out and it gets restored again, because it's a lot of talent at the welterweight division. They just wasn't getting the shine. So we were thinking, okay, Boots is getting ready to take off. He's getting ready to do his thing, and he had been doing his thing. And here we have it to where he actually unifies. So we're like, oh, okay, cool. He's taking a step towards consolidating all the belts. He's actually on a real mission. He doubled down and said that that's what we're going to do. But I kept noticing that whenever it came around to this Brian Norman guy, one, I have to insert Eddie, like you said, which brings me to the point that I'm making. I don't always necessarily blame Boots, but I do recall Boots saying that if you have not heard it from me, you don't believe it, and that he was taking this stance as to where he was going to be grabbing the bull, no diddy, by the horns a little more, and he was going to be forthright in the direction that he was going. Since then, Eddie has been sloppy. He has done a great job at convincing the people, convincing all these YouTube people, all these people that want to play this Bud Spence shit all over again, like the Tank and Shakur, trying to do that shit all over again, which I'm like, hold on, y'all, stop getting played by these fucking promoters. Eddie has done a good job again at making people turn a blind eye, stay stuck in history, and convince them that it was the Normans that didn't want it, when we all know what the real deal was. And if he's the man, if Boots is that guy, which right now by default we have to say he is. He got the ring, he got the IBF, and now he got the WBA. Mario Barrios, he's gonna go do that freak show with Pacquiao, and then you got Norman right there who getting ready to fit over in Japan. But if he wanted to consolidate it, it's like, why is it an issue when we say, okay, well, the fans want to see that fight? The fans think that that's a high octane, very dangerous, very fan-friendly fight. And you all can make all this, you can blame it on whatever, you can say whatever. Boots voluntarily said, hey, he came out, we didn't even know. He came out after the fight, said, oh yeah, we gave Stan Giannis more money. And we already know that they paid Karen more money, because the last time they lost the purse bid, they had to corral that, or he was gonna have to go across the pond and fight somebody over there. And not be over here, not be right up the street in Philly, or not even get to where we was at. Because if we went over there, we don't know what would happen. Not even get to the most recent fight in Atlantic City. Whenever it comes up to this guy, Brian Norman Jr., it always seems there's little extra flies in the ointment. And I blame Eddie. Why? Because we just seen that, okay, when there is money to be had, because, the budget for the T.O. fight and all that, where's that coming from? Like, is that coming from Turkey? Okay, well, if you're affiliated with Turkey, don't Turkey like Boots? So he can't grab no extra scratch, but you had extra scratch for Karen. You had extra scratch for DeMontis, but no extra scratch for Brian Norman. And for me, that's a head scratch. That's a head scratcher. The last thing, so we can go ahead and really, really cook. The last thing is this. Power. I'm gonna say this, man. Power isn't everything, but when you see and hear a guy like in his last fight, because a lot of people say, "Oh, he got touched." That's some of the hate that a lot of people give when they're trying to find a reason not to like people, you know what I'm saying, or whatever. Oh man, he get touched. If you look at it, man, that dude clipped him. Okay, everybody get touched. Boots get touched, Tank get touched. No, anyway, got knocked the fuck down. Nobody even points that out. So that's a clear indication when you don't like somebody that you'll point that shit out first. Well, when you see somebody get hit by somebody with the guy Cuevas, he was actually a knockout artist by record. He was a knockout artist, right? When you get touched like that, you settle down and you beat the shit out of the dude and you make the dude retire with a fucking jab. But you actually calmed yourself down and said, you know what? I'm going to do it this way. That shows that, hey, he made an adjustment. He didn't get clipped again like that. He didn't get knocked down. He made an adjustment, fucked Buddy up to where Buddy was like, nah, I don't, I'm good, man. I mean, we done figured out what we need to figure out, right? And this is my thing. This is my thing when it comes down to this. When it comes down to people like Tank, when it comes down to people like, now I'm going to say people like Brian Norman, when it comes down to people who are knockout artists, you'll always hear these dumbass fans talking about, well, it's called boxing. It's not called knockouts. And I always say, well, it's called football. You know what I'm saying? But if you go in there and you see a game full of fucking field goals, you're going to be disappointed. You want to see some touchdowns. Touchdowns are like knockouts. That's what we want to see. And on the flip side, where you catch him up is with all this safety first, because I don't like safety first fighters no more. Yeah, I said it. I don't like safety first fighters no more. We all know the sport is fucking dangerous. So I like people that's going to get in there and try to cause bodily harm, physical damage. They're not in there trying to pussyfoot around. And they'll tell you, oh, well, it's called boxing. Yeah, but it's not called hit and get hit. They say that that's a strategy, hit and not get hit. But that's not what it's called. We watch boxing to see motherfuckers get knocked out, to see people in the contest, to see a motherfucking towel get thrown in, to see a ref come in and console a motherfucker, like the first time when De Los Santos fought El Rayo. Right? Or see when El Rayo came back and he laid motherfucking Chris Colbert out on the ropes. That's why we watch boxing. Brian Norman got some of that. He got power. He got a fan-friendly style. He's not coming in there trying to play with you. He's trying to knock you the fuck out. So that's why I think the maneuvering, the fact that Devin and them, they came up there, T.O. had something. They were saying they wanted him. I think they seen one of them performances and they were like, oh, fuck no. We ain't trying to deal with that shit. They maneuvering around, and T.O. know that if he go over there with Boots, he could probably get a big bag, and he don't give a fuck whether he get knocked the fuck out. But he don't want to get knocked out by somebody like Brian Norman. Why? Because a lot of people are just now kind of like getting hip to Brian Norman. Devin, he wanted to spar him. But you ain't never heard it come out of his mouth that he gonna win a challenge for the belt, and they got him ranked at number 1 at 147, and he only fought at 144. It's a lot of suspicious activity going around the young man, and I'm like, yeah, I'm not saying he the next best thing since sliced bread. No, I'm not. I'm just saying that everything that's being showed to me by people and their behavior and their moves, there's a lot of people that don't really want nothing with him, man. He dangerous. Go ahead, y'all.
Bro, let me say it like this. When you and I was talking about his maturity, and it seemed like he turned the corner, and then you brought up his dad, right? When you look at those situations, to me, I keep seeing a situation where the dad sat his son down, like, look, I was a boxer. You know what I'm saying? I wasn't a champ at your age. You were a better fighter than I was. You feel what I'm saying? I could see his pop probably making a joke that shit, if I'd have faced you at this age when you was young, you probably knocked my ass out. You feel what I'm saying? So with that being said, it's like, listen, you have to own this shit now. I did the best I could with you. Now you're a champion. You got to be the champion, live the champion, breathe the champion. You got to be all of it. So, you know, I'm still going to be there for you. I'm still in your corner. Nothing's going to change. But, you know, you got to put on those shoes now and walk that path. I can't walk it for you. And B. Norman Jr. looked at his pops and was like, this is a real ass heart to heart, man. And this is, yeah, I'm good now. Fuck these niggas. I'm going there to put my stamp on this whole boxing game. You feel what I'm saying? And the first step he took to let everybody know is, I'm going over to Japan. I tried to make the Boots fight, you know, but they wasn't really doing nothing. We all knew what it was with that. You know, they want to spin the block on me, and I told them, listen, after this fight, I want to be focused. I want to be focused on this fight because this is big for me. I'm gonna go over there. Spark this Japanese.
They're making a deal
out,
about it, though.
Eat some sushi, drink some sake, have me a big bowl of ramen noodle, and come back, you know, with my first title defense against a solid opponent. Regardless
well, what
of
you
what
say,
people say.
what you say about them saying, I forgot what show, I think it was B-Map, but when he was saying he should go ahead and lock in the fight.
That's ridiculous. It's ridiculous because, again, let's bring up the same energy argument. That same energy wasn't there when Boots was doing what he was doing. You feel what I'm saying? So nobody was asking Boots to lock in to a fight right after that, even though you're in the middle of camp. You feel what I'm saying? So it's one of these plays we seen Eddie do this, you know, over and over again. When there's a fight that should be made, but they don't really believe in their champion, what do? They get the general public, and they masters of that shit, to get the general public to turn on a guy they're ducking. You're ducking this dude.
I mean, I think that'd be crazy to try to set up a fight and you ain't even finished this fight that you already locked into. I mean, like, that's kind of jinx. That's kind of what Devin and Ryan did, and made a whole commercial instead of waiting till after the fights was over to show the commercial. They want to show it during the fight, before the fucking fight, and then it just jinxed itself, and Rolly just disrupted everything. They could at least put Rolly. They could at least put Rolly in the damn commercial.
Rolly has like a 2.1 second shot in the commercial. The two people.
I mean, they could have had a little storyline where Rolly like, I would mess all this up, you know, just in case Rolly beat him. He'd be like, I can mess all this up. I'm here to try, and you know what I mean. Just in case it goes south, Rolly had his little clip to where he said he might disrupt all this shit. Like, oh, we still got Rolly in play just in case he do beat Ryan.
And you ain't hearing nothing, coming from Ryan Garcia. or Oscar right
but
now.
Bill,
They quiet, but or to spin it around. You feel what I'm saying?
Go ahead, man.
Would we want to see? And I'm asking you this question, Bills. Would we want to see after the Jin Sasaki fight, and let's say Boots is nowhere, nowhere to be around, and Barrios is still caught up in what he's doing? Would it make sense as far as American boxing is concerned? Brian Norman, go ahead and dust off Rolly.
No, it would be like a stay busy fight, but it would be like we gotta leave Rolly out there to disrupt all the BS. Rolly like the cleaner right now. He like you know what I'm saying? He like the sponge right now. If it's bullshit, let Rolly fight these motherfuckers. Okay, that way, if you can't beat Rolly, don't try to tiptoe your way in the front of the line, because now, just seeing with all the shenanigans, Rolly is at the top of the line, and can't none of y'all bypass him without somebody saying, well, why don't you fight Rolly? But the champions need to fight each other. But anybody else that's trying...
I hear what you're saying, and I can agree to what you're saying, but how do we, if we give Rolly that title shot, right? And this is why I'm saying, you give Rolly the title shot, he fails at the title shot, then he has no recourse, but then to become that gatekeeper type dude to the titles. You feel what I'm saying? You think you ready for a title? Fight Rolly. You feel what I'm saying? B. Norman put him in that position, but go ahead, Body.
But let me tell you, because to address what Bills was saying, this is what I believe, Bills. You know how they be saying reasonable doubt?
Yeah.
It's a term called reasonable doubt, right? Where if they got you dead to rights, right? But you can create reasonable doubt. You can create a little reasonable doubt. And that's what Eddie did, right? And
yeah.
See, this the thing. Norman Sr., he nixed all that. Norman Sr. came out and said, listen, man, we're not going to sign anything. But look, in principle, yes, we can do it. But see, he did this last time. And guess what happened? Last time when he said, okay, cool. He said last time when he did it, right after the fight, they was asking Boots about Brian Norman. And he says, I don't know why y'all keep talking about him. He ain't that good. He shut the shit down. Like basically he wasn't gonna give the man no clout. He said he wasn't gonna give him no clout, right? But guess what? Brian Norman and them they had did their part. They had already finished their business. This was the time when they was where the ball had shifted over. It went over the net and it was back in the court side of Boots and them. So then they handled their business. And after the fight, they poured water on it.
Yeah,
right? So
I've seen it.
Okay, so why fault? Okay, one, you can't control what Top Rank got. Whether Top Rank had Jen in the background and they had something behind the scenes or whatever, in principle or whatever, because we already know if it came down time and the money was right, a unification want to trump anything else, especially if that bag is right and it's a big ass fight. So regardless, let's just say Jim was in their ear and Top Rank knew that they was going to do that. Let's just say that was in the background. If Eddie and them was serious and Boots was serious about doing that and the bag was right, they would have said, man, fuck that. We're going to go ahead and get it on now. I'm getting everything I want. The fans want this fight. We got a little bit of back and forth. We're not going to try to do this 5-year shit because we know Boots ain't got that much time.
Yeah.
So guess what? Brian Norman say, in principle, yes, we can do it. We are not going to sign anything right now, but verbally, you got my agreement. We want to do it. They come out and try to say, oh, well, Eddie came out, oh, well, he went missing. He's fighting in 4 weeks. Yeah, so what was the man supposed to sit on his thumbs until you decide, oh, yeah, man, I want to fight you next? Knowing you inherited a mandatory that was on your undercard. Right? So it's a bunch of bullshit if you ask me. And then this whole thing about the reason why, because remember we was over there on Pop's channel, and I said, don't y'all find it funny that Ryan offered off of the little Osterine stuff and the suspension, and then Rolly with his checkered little past as far as big fights and this and that, that they get put in the position to get that belt to be next.
Right.
Connect the dots for me, y'all.
Over
So then,
look,
so listen, I'm gonna bring it home. As late as today, they come out and say, if Boots don't get the T.O. fight, he's moving up.
ooh,
What does that tell y'all?
ooh, Brian Norman was never ever gonna happen. They don't want
No,
that.
we kind of felt that. Like, it's like, but it's up to Boots. You saying this what you want, so you trying to play both cards. You get what your man do an interview. No, I want to be undisputed. But then when your handler, because that's what the promoters starting to act like handlers.
Exactly.
When your handler right there beside you, you're not speaking the same way that you speaking in the street. That's why people got a problem with some of these boxers. Y'all ain't speaking the same way in the interview with your handler right there, but or when you're in the streets and you comfortable talking and saying what you really feel, is everybody feeling you like, oh, okay, you want this. You want to be undisputed. You want to be the man. Okay, but then this guy comes along speaking another language, because all promoters do is damn quick talk. He might well sell cars the way they be talking. You know what I'm saying? It's like, why we can't get the fight we want? It ain't the money no more. You got the Turk in line with all these fights. Like I said, they can go ahead and get their fights out the way and get on Bud and Canelo undercard, and then it'll be a massive payday for both of them, because you on a big ass undercard. You just made the undercard that much better. And anybody that got a pipeline is Eddie, and you right there talking to Turk about different situations. I don't even know what the hell T.O. coming from. You know what I'm saying? Like, why you even mentioning T.O. Or T.O. mentioning Boots? Like, T.O. trying to attach himself to somebody because you an undercard fighter now. So you trying to get back to headline status. But I tell you what, T.O., you can get on the undercard too. Brian Norman, Boots, motherfucker, Bud Canelo, motherfucker, and Rolly and T.O. Let's go.
But
Nah,
I wanted to come in with this.
Bills.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead, AC.
No, I was just going to piggyback off a point you had brought up earlier, when you was talking about Brian Norman in the situation. In that situation, Brian Norman told Jin. Now you're talking about the guy who's who's trying his best to follow Japanese boxing as best as he can. Brian Norman said on at least 3 occasions, listen, if I can't get the Boots fight, all we want is the Boots fight. Barrios want to go over there, and Barrios got something going on. So he immediately took Barrios off the table. And then it was about Boots. Those 3 times he said, Jin, if I can't get this fight, then I'll go over there and do that. So when Eddie Hearn was mad disingenuous and said he disappeared to go fight somebody in Japan, let's use the words that you said, because, okay, how would that be? You coming from England and you're supposed to be the state of grammar and the creator of English. How does that, you just said some shit that was a lie. And in that lie, you said this man disappeared. How do you disappear when you know where he's going, where he's going to fight at, and what date he's going to do it? That's not a disappearance. That's saying you're fucking around, bro, and this guy really wants to fight. And it does a lot for me. Instead of sitting around trying to negotiate you and you tearing down my name. I told this kid, if I can't get the fight with y'all, then I'll go over there. And that's what he did. But people want to hold him against, because the problem is Brian Norman popularity, for some reason, was linked to Schofield. That's what I kept on seeing. And people would try to put the 2 of them together. Brian Norman Sr. and Schofield's father. And I was like, nah, man, yeah, y'all talking about 2 different dudes, man. They don't
Right.
even fight the same. Stop that.
Well, let me ask y'all something.
Yeah, go ahead.
What if Pacquiao win this fight?
Jim versus
It's gonna
Pacquiao. Pacquiao beat Norman
It's-
in Japan. That's bigger.
Yo, I didn't like. I guess I got PTSD because I think Thurman shit the bed. Thurman shit the
He
bed.
did. He did.
But Pacquiao, that shit should have been over. Thurman shouldn't have the T-Rex arms and all that. I was so disappointed in Thurman. I said, man, you supposed to go in there and beat shit down Pacquiao leg, man. And that's how that. I'm tired of these dudes being able to hop out and looking at boxing like a lick. That's why the young guys that's trying to do it the right way, build themselves up. They not clout chasing. They want to do the thing. It's like they don't in boxing, in the conversation, and the powers that be, they don't give these guys they don't give them nothing. They starve them and they do these games like and for those of these people that think that, oh man, I went to the Boots fight. I'm a Boots fan. But for those people that's gonna say, oh man, he just wanna no, it's with Eddie because Eddie Wilder fans will tell you about it. Right? They'll tell you about some of Eddie's tactics and what he do with his people when he promoting all these offers and stalling out fights and all that. I know when, and then they changed their stripes when he got Devin, and the same shit happened with Devin. It was like, man, y'all was not moving, y'all didn't have nothing. Y'all didn't have nothing to go about talking about y'all wanted to fight Tank. Y'all didn't want to do that. Y'all wanted to do the glow up off of the name. So how is it? So in this aspect, it wasn't necessarily Norman's name. It was the fact that he was a belt and he represented a obstacle from Boots getting undisputed. But I find it real difficult to believe you really wanted undisputed, whereas now T.O. is the deciding factor. A guy who said they fight, like now all of a sudden people giving him all this clout, thinking he can even tie Boots bootstraps. It's like, no, the logical thing would be for T.O. to try to wait and try to get Brian Norman so that you go up the right way, you get a guy because Boots is out the door. He out the door. I think he going to 54, but you want it undisputed. So this is the last thing I'm gonna say about this because I don't want to seem like I'm shitting on Boots. And this is what I was trying to get off yesterday when Lord of the Rings was on and we were talking about it. Because by their definition, this felonious ass offer that was sent to Charles Conwell, the felonious ass offer that was sent to Brian Norman, they both ducked in their book, right? But it's different when we can legitimately say that Virgil Ortiz and them sent you an offer. But no, you wanted undisputed. So yeah, you go ahead and you get a belt, you appease us, you know what I'm saying? You whet our appetites with the Stan Giannis. So like, okay, he really about to start his killing spree off in this motherfucker. And now, if you don't get the T.O. fight, you moving up. That math ain't mathing.
No, that math ain't mathing at all. You telling me
What it is,
1 + 5.
what it is, they want Brian Norman to go ahead and lose, and they want Barrios to lose, so they can just hair up and make a fight with the motherfucker they lost to. And be like, I knew they couldn't touch him. It's crazy. Boxing crazy, man. Like, and just think if, Brian Norman taking a risk. I ain't gonna say Barrios taking a risk, but if he going there just wanting to get punched on, and damn Pacquiao feel like he fighting for his presidency, and he trying to send some more money to charity, he might come in there on go. We don't know what kind of juice was in his juice maker for all these years, and then he now cycled out, and now he back. Talking about he better than ever. But we don't know, you know what I mean? You don't know what kind of exercise he been doing. That's what I'll say. I'll call it exercise.
But why Barrios get a pass?
Barrios don't get a pass.
And for everybody, look, like right now as it stands, you have to, like me personally, I would have to edge and say, okay, if Norman and Boots fought tomorrow, I would have to say, all right, I'm slightly leaning towards Boots, you know what I'm saying, based on the experience and, a bunch of things, right? I'm slightly leaning. But it's a good ass fight, and Brian Norman could he got more than just a puncher's chance, right? I'm just talking about I'm sick and tired of how the business of boxing do us as fans. This is the fucking fight we want to see.
Yeah.
We want to see Boots and Brian Norman. I don't want to see Tio don't deserve another fucking payday. I don't care if it's Devin. I don't give a fuck who it is. He don't deserve one right now.
Let him fight Rolly, man. Let Rolly be. That's what I'm with, man. Let him fight Rolly. Rolly in the hood. He ain't gonna come talking all that slick shit to Rolly. Rolly retarded. Like, let him fight Rolly. You want to come up to 147? Rolly is right here. Until you pass this brick wall that Ryan tried to pass, now you go ahead and get past. Why you gonna jump in front of the line trying to get a shot at a belt and a payday? And you've been talking all this monkey talk and all this. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I don't like. I'm trying to wrap my head around it and try to make sense of why is Tio now your deciding factor, and the simple fact of how you tried to play the situation. First, you put out the wrong perception, a false perception that Brian Norman did something else. The second thing you did, and this is not to Boots. This is no attack at Boots. I'm talking about Eddie Hearn. Then you know what I'm saying? You tried to force him to say, well, listen, if you don't sign it right now, be within the next 72 hours, there is no signing it after your fight. We don't want to fight after that. We're gonna move on. Oh, then you don't want undisputed, because regardless of anything, you still gotta wait till I fight Jin, and you still gotta look at the outcome of Jin. So whether I sign it now or I sign it, right after I win, what's the fucking difference?
Somebody, really? let me ask you something, buddy. So you see, there was a report that he moving up if he don't get the TO fight. So
yeah, one of the biggest channels on YouTube just broke the news. They just said it.
Okay, well, let's check this plate in. What if Eddie and motherfucking Tio working together, and Eddie told him, yeah, you can go ahead and say whatever you gotta say, and he gonna say, I'm Dora the Explorer, I'm looking for Boots the monkey. You know what I'm saying? And we're gonna make sure we get that locked in. Yeah, that's what you needed to say. Him and Eddie working together. I mean, it's kind of like that. If you saying, if I don't get the TO fight, I'm moving up.
Look, it was already reported. I got videos on this. This was already reported. I had already been heard, and I did a video when I heard that T.O. was negotiating with Devin. That they had been doing that. I don't know what it was. I think Devin was trying to be some super A-side and dictate all this shit to T.O. The same shit that's been going on before in the past. I think that happened. But check this out. It was already known that T.O. was going to do Barbosa, then do Richardson Hitchens. This is what it was supposed to be. Then do Richardson Hitchens, because they were talking about doing that in Alcatraz, and then they kept saying Boots. I spoke to that shit back then, way back then. I said, man, because remember, it makes sense, because remember T.O. started coming out and said, man, me and Boots, man, we both won championship. We was in the Nationals. We both won at the same time. He wasn't on no I want to fight Boots. He just did that shit. But when Ryan fucked up, when Rolly, I should say Rolly, because I got to give Rolly his credit. Rolly fucked up the plans with that, in my opinion. And I think that it came down to where, look, Eddie said in his interview, he said, listen, he said, Boots was like, can you get me a title? Can you get me a strap? Eddie was saying, no, because Brian Norman, he went missing, and Barrios, he getting ready to fight Pacquiao. This shit ain't really got nothing to do with Boots, but it do, because you over there with him. So y'all guilty by association. We can't, we not nailing Boots to the cross. We basically saying, man, Eddie, stop this dumb shit, because you fucking up American boxing, man. These are our guys over here. Guys that are, I believe both of these guys are legacy guys. This is the fight we want to fucking see. Get your hand out the pot. And look, this is the other thing. They try to make it sound all dumb, like, oh man, because the first time they were saying, well, look, we'll take that if we do it in Vegas and all that and not in your backyard. But look at what Johnny Allison say. Y'all, he is going to Japan to fight dude in his backyard. What other champs is doing that right now, guys? So I question y'all, if you would go over to a whole nother motherfucking country with a time zone change and all that, you trying to tell me you won't go fight somebody like Boots in their backyard when you got your title in California where they were booing you and you crumpled a nigga in front of it? So that's another narrative that's out the window. We want to see this fight.
B. Norman said, listen, we'll do the fight, but let's just do it in Vegas. Let's just change the venue. That's the part of the conversation where people are like, he didn't say nothing. He just asked for more money. It's like, no, he didn't. He said, let's move the venue and I'll take the money that you're offering. But let's just move the venue so I can take advantage of the tax break. Y'all niggas would want to take advantage of the tax break too. Am I not lying? So
I mean, Eddie Hearn.
Yeah, that makes sense to move it to Vegas, but you trying to put us in a position where we gotta take the fight and sweeten up the pot. So fuck you, little nigga. No, it's staying in there, and we don't mind spending more money. Oh, you piece of shit! You don't mind spending more money to have that fight in Philly. You feel what I'm saying? Knowing that you trying to cap around this whole thing. Yes, sir. We got you. We got you.
Because look, for certain fights, they don't be having extra money. Like, that's not Boots. It's like, man, let off the purse strings and give the fighters what they want.
Right.
I mean, give the fans what they want. Like, because y'all be pulling money out the ass. Like, when you look at how much Conor been in all them, and they say pay-per-views and all this other stuff and all that, it's like, come on, son. Because look, think about this. Conor Ben came over there at that fight that was in Times Square, and he started talking about Ryan. So they be having the money, bro. They be playing us as fans, man. This money out there. We not gonna put this shit on Brian Norman. We gonna put this fact on it. It's money out there because why? You can make the prices a certain way. You can do all kind of things because online you've been building this fight. You've been building this fight for so long, right? That there's a demand for. People will make. If it's anywhere close to me, I'm going to it. I'm driving to it.
Yeah.
You got my money. You ain't even gotta twist my arm or nothing. If it's in Atlanta, I'm going.
That's what I'm saying. You can make extra T-shirts, motherfucking. The seats can cost a little more. You can charge for pictures, whatever you got to do. They got the extra money. The problem is these motherfucking promoters want to make money hand over fist without doing their job. Your job is to be a promoter. I don't understand why y'all making it seem like these boxers work for y'all when y'all work for the fucking boxers. That's the problem.
Yeah, that is the problem.
Look, this is a warning for Boots, man, because I seen it done. We seen it done. You know, we seen it done with the Wilder and the AJ shit. We seen it done with Devin and Tank. Now we getting it with Norman and Boots. It's like, man, look, man, you over there with Eddie, man, and it's his job, man, to do what you want, man. Look, you check the legacy block, but if you really want to do what you said you want to do, they can make it happen, man.
Yep.
They make exceptions and they make caveats and they have been over backwards. Like, look at what they did with Karan when they lost the purse bid. Look at what they did to get Stan Giannis, who was over there with PBC. Norman and them is actually saying the same thing that Stan Giannis was saying. We want to fight. But we wasn't going to sit around and wait with our thumb up our ass waiting on you and dealing with Eddie, especially when Eddie just made us look he used his influence over the internet to make us look bad.
Right.
You got to protect yourself against shit like that. So that's why for me, I ain't got no problem with them saying, today's price ain't yesterday's price because you just tried to make me look bad, you piece of shit, knowing that you don't want to fight me. And you want to know the proof? Hindsight 2020, you're putting your fighter's career at 47 on the line from a guy moving up from 140 pounds. Fuck out of here.
And you flirting with a mandatory that where if your man say, man, I don't get up for certain fights and all, we seeing gears off. We gonna think Boots gonna beat the shit. be shit down, give you a soft leg, man. We don't want to see that shit. I don't want to see the T.O. shit. I mean, is Boots going to get up for it?
I mean,
whether or not he get up for it, I still think he's going to beat the shit out of T.O., but still, man, I don't want to see that shit, man.
And the crazy thing about this whole T.O. shit, they will pay him more than they was going to pay Brian Norman.
Exactly, B. And he got the hardware. That's that carrot. Hey, Bills, you cooking lightweight. I see what you're doing. That's that carrot on a stick shit, man. They got Boots with a carrot on a stick. They got him with a carrot on a stick, man. Like, and they know that, man. I think he really did want to get undisputed, but oh man, the money and man, look at this, Norman. He don't want to fight you, bruv. Like, man, nah, he want to fight you, cuz.
See, for me, it's what you did in the past that could have had you with the leverage to say, whatever fighter I want to fight, I'm gonna fight. You feel what I'm saying? You should have.
Hey, I'll be back, man. I'm out here like I ain't at work, man. I'll be back.
Yeah, good cook, bro.
Right.
You was cooking your ass off. Good cook, bro.
Yeah, good cook.
You know what I'm saying? But the issue is this: you could have knocked off the Conor Benn. You should have knocked off the Blair Cobb when that fight was hot, because both of you were relative unknowns, but Blair Cobb still had the bigger name at that time. You feel what I'm saying? Maybe you didn't want to be the B-side to a Blair Cobb. You feel what I'm saying? But at that time, fighting Blair Cobb and knocking off Conor Benn are two solid names, and you check off the name box that people can recognize and say, yeah, but he did, you know, who handed them dudes their losses? You know, it was Boots. You feel what I'm saying? Boots handed Blair Cobbs his first loss, and Boots handed Conor Benn his jump off. So at the end of the day, you could have been the international star long before you fought Karan. You feel what I'm saying? But you and your team made excuses, and then you moved in a different direction. So now it's becoming harder because people are not trusting in the fact that who you signed with, they're actually going to get the fight. They'll tell you, yeah, and then won't hear from nobody. And then all of a sudden they're hearing on the internet and online and from their friends and family like, yo, they said you ducked. I was sitting right there. That was him on the phone when y'all was talking, right? Yeah. So why these niggas saying you ducking? I don't even know, bro. These dudes is crazy. Just like Stanionis said, and this is why we thought Stanionis was gonna come in, show up and show out. Because he was adamant, like, yeah, they keep reaching out to us, but every time we try to reach back out to them, they don't want to answer the phone. So it's like, ooh, understand, now you got your chance, so, you know, put pause on that, man.
This what I be saying? Yeah. This is another thing I be saying. This is why I try to say, man, a person, I was trying to say money isn't the cure of all things, because they all said that Turkey. They said Sugar Daddy Sheik had all the money in the world. I'm like, well, if he had all the money in the world, why we didn't get Canelo and David Benavidez? Why if it's because they would say, yeah, we realized that he was gonna be the answer, because if it's a money issue, that's not a problem, because most of the people, there'd be a money hang up. Well, you right there, you attached and affiliated with a dude that's supposed to got like a gazillion fucking dollars.
Yeah.
You got a gazillion fucking dollars, man.
They burn old stacks of 20s just to keep warm in the winter.
Yeah, he on his AB shit. He burning money and flushing it down the toilet, and you know what I'm saying?
Uh-huh.
So I'm like, man, even when it came down to this, like, look, because I've been on wax saying it. I've been on it, Johnny, man. Like, hey, you know, I mean, only thing is what I always say, man, when it come down to sugar daddies, man, they all at some point they're gonna want some sugar, man. That's the only caveat. It's like they ain't gonna tell you that you gotta they gonna tell you, yeah, you're gonna have to bend the knee and kiss the ring, but they don't tell you that it's a nipple ring.
Yeah, dope.
You know, so hey, you got you got all the answers. That's why I be trying to say, like, you got, and it was weird. It was weird when Shakur came out and was like, yeah, I'll go up to 54 and fight Conor Ben. And I did that thumbnail. I should pull it up, but I did that thumbnail with Andy Cruz, Shakur, Boots, and Conor Ben. I said, man, Eddie, if you want to play this in-house shit, you want to do it, all your answers are right there in front, like right there. Yeah. Then you throw in Tito Mercado, you throw in an affiliation with Jermaine Ortiz, you throw in like your whole camp, like all your answers are right there, and you plugged in with the Sheik who got all the money. You know, I mean, I don't know, man. I'm just the adamant boxing fan, man. I'm on the outside looking in, and people say you don't know shit about the business of boxing, and all these people that supposedly know about the business of boxing, they doing just as much salacious, messy shit as the people that thrive on doing the salacious, messy shit. We don't get the answers except for me. I'm patient enough and I connect the dots and I don't jump to no conclusions. I give everybody a fair shake. We have open, honest dialogue about it. I'm not here just running nobody into the ground. I try to look at everything comprehensively and let's make sense of it. And I always say, age well games, because a lot of this shit ain't gonna age well, man. Like and being with, like, for Eddie to have control of Boots, it's, I mean, yeah, he got him the belt, he got him to unify. But shit, maybe it's time for you to spread your wings.
Yeah.
If that was the last thing, unless something happened when you gotta be obligated with these guys, man, Boots, man, like, it's clear. Because if you ask Eddie, if because Eddie came, these are not my words. Y'all can go look it up. I played the short. I could play it again. Let me play this was a short, but if you go back and look to this whole, go back and listen to this whole piece, and never mind the shit that came out now. But look, if you listen to this, don't listen to me. Listen to this. Look, if you listen to this, don't listen to me.
I think there's a very good chance you'll fight Teofimo Lopez next. And now it's like, do I stay at 47 or 54? What are my options? Can you get me another belt? And I'm like, well, right now, bro.
Can you get me another belt? That's what Boots is saying. Can you get me another belt?
There's a very good chance you'll fight Teofimo Lopez next. And now it's like, do I stay at 47 or 54? What are my options? Can you get me another belt? And I'm like, well, right now, Brian Norman's on the missing list. He's disappearing to Japan for a fight. Pacquiao's fighting Barrios. So, no is the answer. Okay, well, what have we got at 54?
Okay, no.
Or then out of the blue, the Teofimo Lopez fight comes around. So, it may not.
Now, do y'all really believe that Teofimo Lopez came out of the blue?
Yeah, that's the word. That's the word of the day. If you hear the word "out the blue," then take a drink. You feel me?
Let this run one more time. This is Fight Hub, man. Salute the fight, and man, Marcos. He do some of the best. He's one of the most professional guys out there. I do not infringe on your property, brother. I salute you. I give comments in your comment section saying keep doing what you're doing and being the way that you be, because he asks a lot of tough questions. He get a lot of good answers, but you could tell that his spirit really is just to do real reporting.
Chance you'll fight Teofimo Lopez next. And now it's like, do I stay at 47 or 54? What are my options? Can you get me another belt? And I'm like, well, right now, Brian Norman's on the missing list. He's disappearing to Japan for a fight. And Pacquiao's fighting Barrios. So, no is the answer. Okay, well, what have we got at 54? Then out of the blue, the Teofimo Lopez fight comes around. So it may not be a massive motivator to Ennis because it's just a defense, but it is a big fight. And obviously the money's good, the profile's good. So I think my answer is if Giron stays at 147, I think there's a very good chance he'll fight Teofimo Lopez next.
So, AC, let me ask you something, man. Did Teofimo Lopez did pay-per-view before?
I don't think so.
Okay, so where's the money coming from for Teo? Like what says okay with Teo? What says big fight? Because he was with Top Rank and what records or what? I mean, I remember him. He took over with the Heisman night shit and all that. But like, what makes when they say big fight? Okay, we know what Boots can do. We know what he can do. I know what he can do in Atlanta. I mean, in Atlantic City. We know what he can do in Philly. 14 in Atlanta. What 9? I mean, I was there. I mean, you know, I guess, you know what I'm saying, 9 in Atlantic City. We know what he can do as far as numbers, but like with Teofimo Lopez, because of the name, is that something that's going to be like all of a sudden it's going to be in Vegas or somewhere else? Or like, where's the money going to come from? Is it coming from the Sheik?
That's what I did see something where the Sheik was saying he wants Teofimo Lopez versus Jaron Ennis. Now here's a question I would like to ask you. This is my follow-up question to you is, how is Teofimo Lopez, right? He's still the champion at 140 pounds.
Mm-hmm.
He is not fought at 147 or anything like that.
Right.
And here's the crazy part. They still have Arnold Barboza as the interim champion. And Teo just beat Arnold Barboza.
That was another question I was saying, man. I said, and that's another thing I said. I don't want to see Boots fight these 40s moving up again, man. I mean, unless it's somebody like the pound for pound #1 guy in the world, Devin Haney, since he's #1. But you know, that's another thing. Like, the dude ain't even fought there yet. Like, they, as boxing fans, they just want to give us whatever. Like, man, they just want to give us hard D and bubblegum, man. And I'm not with it.
Yeah. Like, I don't know. It's just looking at some of these rankings behind here. It's just a little weird to look at the fact that Devin Haney's sitting at the #1 spot for Barboza. You feel what I'm saying? He's at the #4 spot for Ennis, and the guy only fought at 144 pounds. But you know, I don't know. But for me, man, it's this whole situation with them trying to convince us, you know, even in when I was having the dialogue with Marky Dan yesterday, when I was talking about, he did ask good questions. He did ask a good question of what, you know, former, you know, world champion has Boots fought like that, and that answer is 0. You feel what I'm saying? So where you're trying to convince me that the best fight for Jaron Boots Ennis at 147 pounds is against Teofimo Lopez, I'm like, bro, this is where you're trolling me, because there's no way in the common sense world that I think the fight between Teofimo Lopez is going to be better and more exciting than watching Teofimo Lopez versus Brian Norman Jr. And if that's the case, then why isn't Teofimo Lopez saying, well, listen, if I can't get Boots at 47, I want Brian Norman Jr. at 47. These are some of the questions I'm asking. Why isn't Dev saying, if I can't get this guy at 47, I want Brian Norman Jr. at 47? You feel what I'm saying? Y'all all trying to chase Boots, who's the #1 guy. Granted, I get it. But it's always been a question that us boxing fans have asked. If you can't get the #1 guy that you're going after, who is the #2? Who is the next best thing? And unfortunately, the next best thing is for some of these guys, I think might be a bigger threat.
Look, man, they falling in love with the YouTube, man. That's why I say, man, if we police up some of the conversation and have more conversations like these where we sit down and we put our critical thinking hats on, we actually have influence. Yeah. We have influence, but You'll hear Bill. I heard Bill's interview, the whole interview. I said that. Well, yeah, I heard pretty much the whole interview. And he said, we're the hunters. We're hunting the Ryan rematch. We're hunting T.O. and we're hunting Boots. And I'm like, I know beyond a shadow of a doubt, if you said, man, fuck that, I'm a predator. Because out of all three of them names, Boots would be the Sasquatch out of them, if I had to guess myself.
Yeah.
So if you're the hunter, why you not going for the top of the totem pole with Boots? Because it's bullshit.
Yeah.
You know, and online, it's such a presence, just like even talking yesterday, and I'm like, he's sensible, because he come around to understand, so, oh yeah, you got a good point there, and this and that, but like, people are still stuck with negotiations from the past and all that, you know what I'm saying? It's like, you can't see what's right in front of you right now. It's nothing but opportunity right now. It's a bag out there.
Because it's doubled down with people. And I love getting into debates with this dude, especially when we could talk offline, and it's just me and him one-on-one with the debate and shit like that. Because people like B-Mac will still tell people that Brian Norman Jr. ducked, what's the name, and your basis of ducking is based on $300,000. That's the core of your duck argument, is $300,000. And it's like, but B-Mac, it's not like that. And it does get pushback on this channel, even from some of his co-hosts and shit like that. You feel what I'm saying? But the point I'm making is, you can't bring up Boots versus Brian Norman without revisiting the Boots versus Brian Norman charade when it was supposed to be their negotiations. You gotta go through a whole hour and a half debate on that before you can even attack what's going on right now, because people are just gonna go back to that. Yeah, I get your point of, yeah, this just happened and this just happened and Eddie just said this and Eddie did that. But my point is this: he was making 300,000 prior to that. He ain't even made 300,000 prior to that. He was off with 1.5. Then they asked for 1.7. Then he don't want to negotiate, and he figured he got the 1.7. Now he asking for 2. He ducking. He was bullshitting them. Every time they came to an agreement, he wanted to up the money. I was like, okay, I get that, but can we move past that? Can we move past that and talk about the most recency bias? That's what I want to talk about. Recent shit.
Yeah.
No, because we can't get there, because it's you Boots haters that don't want to recognize that Brian Norman ducked before. So why Boots got to give him a fight now? Oh, so we talking about ducking in the past, and why does a person deserve a fight in the future? Yeah. So what about Boots versus Bud? No, that was different, bro. That was different. Y'all tripping now. See, that's why I can't have a conversation. I bet you a Bud fan too, right? You feel?
But look, AC, I'll tell you this will clear all of that up. This will clear all that up, because I tell you all the time, people are one way in real life, and they get online and they change. I despise that shit. So I'm gonna put it like this: you with a broad, right? She said, hey, I was trying to give you something, but she wanted you to go and get her some, go get me some Red Lobster and then meet me, you know, wherever she was going to meet, right? And for whatever reason, it didn't happen, right? And she hit you up. And she said, listen, I'm about to go get my nails done, you know what I'm saying? I'm going to get my hands and my feet done, and I'm going to be over there at the A-Loft. You know what I'm saying? Holler at me.
Yeah.
You gonna stop and be like, nah, you ain't try to give me no poom poom last time. Like, no, you can be like, all right, what time?
Yeah.
What's the room number?
Yeah.
What time your appointment over? I want that smoke.
Yep.
But online we'll debate about shit like, no, she trying to give you some pussy now, my nigga.
Mm-hmm. And the nigga arguing, bro. I'm
Yeah, but
telling
nah,
you,
last time you said
we
nothing,
was tweeting. She tweeted me at 2:07. You feel what I'm saying? In the afternoon, she told me, you know, she had to run some errands. She might be back home after 12 and she'll hit me back up, right? So what happened was I was getting ready. I was walking my dogs. I made dinner and shit like that. And then I'm just staring at my phone waiting for her tweet. And the broad never tweeted me. She don't want that smoke. And then I tried to tweet her back and she tweeted me, you know, in the morning, like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. Showed me a little side boob picture and everything and said, listen, yo, I just fell asleep, blah, 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 blah. Nah, bro, she lying. She ain't fall asleep, man. She ain't fall asleep. And you just like, bro, but yes, she did. Just like, what are you saying? And you there's a picture of her online sleep. And you just like, who cares? So Eddie Hearn does a great job in putting his minions out there, giving them a task, and they follow that task. And then when you have, you know, certain channels that keep bringing the same guy on, and it's like, yeah, we're gonna have this conversation about, you know, we're gonna have this conversation about let's say Tiger Johnson. We're gonna have a conversation about Tiger Johnson. You'll start 15 minutes of Tiger Johnson. But yeah, let me ask you a question. What about this boot situation? Let's revisit that. And then the rest of your cook is about boots all over again. And then you bring in the same guy who's doubling down and people like, yeah, Breadman know his shit, bro. Breadman be knowing his shit. And it's just like, I mean, yeah, I get it. I get it. But at the end of the day, you keep trying to double down and bring on the same guest that's saying the same thing over and over again to these people, you know, are actually believing this thing about this kid, and that's wrong. You know it's wrong. I know it's wrong. But this is what y'all want to do to make your guy big. This is what happens in 2025. I got to shit on somebody in order to build somebody.
That's why I try to make it. That's why I try to make it a point to where you got to look at the situations and use common sense around it, because that was the checkmate I used yesterday, where I'm like, okay, well, if you're going to try to tell me that Norman and Conwell ducked because of these offers, then by your definition, not mine, by your definition, Boots ducked Virgil.
He also ducked Bud because they told us the Turk has an offer on the table for after the Quran fight or Avanesian fight, whatever one. I think it was Avanesian, but after the Avanesian fight, to fight Boots. Lucrative contract. Send it. What happened to that? By your guy's definition, he just ducked Bud. So why? If Brian Norman don't deserve a fight after a clear duck, then why does Boots deserve a fight after 3 clear ducks of every fighter they mentioned at 54? Conwell, Virgil, and Bud.
And then, but then if you have a different conversation, if it's like, let's just say that was on a Monday. If you have another conversation on a Tuesday, they'll tell you, man, Bud was never going to fight Boots. Why? Because what did he bring to the table? So it's like people be wanting to just debate just to be debate. I hate when that happens, because it's like, man, I'll be wanting to move on. I'll be wanting to move around and talk about different shit. You know what I'm saying? It's a turn off to be talking about the same shit, but you know, I mean, it's situational, man, and we be seeing it, man. But you know, my word of the day is gaslighting. That's why I try to put out enough information out there to where you might not agree with everything I say. And I know I've been wrong in the past about certain things, but I try to stick to the things and do things to where it's like, how can I be wrong about this? Because I'm showing you through a sustained period of time, actions and real live events that you can go back and check. And I always say, don't take my word for it. Go, you know what I'm saying? Do your research, do your homework. Don't, because it's dangerous. It's like being in them churches where the pastor tell you everything and anything, and you'll listen and you'll do it. And it's like, I'm not going to do that.
And we trying to tell y'all, if your pastor is asking you to pay him to preach, he's sinning. Y'all sinning. That's a little inside joke, people, that we were tripping on in the chat, but you know,
I said they're gonna stone him according to the Old Testament.
For sure. But man, listen, I just gotta say this, man, and I want to land my plane here on this whole Boots thing. Boots, when you came into the game, you know, you had diehard fans that were like, yo, this kid, listen, I would love to see this kid in the ring with this person. I would love to see this kid in the ring with that person and this and that and yada, yada, yada. But as the course of time came, you feel what I'm saying? You started to take a little diva-ish path. You feel what I'm saying? Which then, to me, put you at a range of some key fights that would have aged extremely well right now. Just imagine if you would have fought Conor Benn way back then when your dad said, don't nobody know who Conor Benn is in South Philly. You didn't have to know because your son would have fought him over in the UK. You feel what I'm saying? And been international. So then move forward, and then Conor Benn versus Chris Eubanks, and Conor Benn's showing versus Chris Eubanks. That right there is how a fight ages well. When the guy comes off of his next performance after fighting you, that he has a stellar performance because he went up in weight and he did something that had everybody like, yo, these dudes just won't stop punching. You know what I'm saying? So sometimes you miss opportunities, and now these opportunities are the things that you could have used as keys, bargaining chips. You got to cross the lake of the dead, and you need a special coin. How do you get the special coin when you're on a quest? You got to go and slay these 2 dragons. If you would have slayed those 2 dragons, you would have had that special coin. That special coin gets you to go anywhere, shortcut, anywhere, long as you're traveling on the lake of the dead, and you completely missed that opportunity, bro. So now you got us questioning your intent, your not so much your integrity, because you've always showed us to be a stand-up kid. We can't blame you for some of the things because it's how your promoter is moving. But you're supposed to be the spear of the tip. And that's where we're circling back and just questioning your intent. Like, do you really want what you telling us you want? You know what I'm saying? And to rest your whole career on your career at 47 on Teofimo Lopez fight, that's a kick in the balls and a slap in the face, bro. To fans that really is arguing out here for you, like Dirk, and you know how Marky Dan was arguing for you yesterday, how I have argued for you in the past, how Body went to go spend money on you and support you live, and then you want to kick us in the balls and slap us in the face and say, well, listen, I want Teo, I don't want Brian Norman, I ain't even thinking about Barrios. We get it, you're on the clock and you got to do what you got to do, but don't do that. Just go straight up to 54 now. Fuck it. Teo is not the legacy fight for you. Brian Norman Jr. is the legacy fight for you. At 47. Just go up there. Just go up to 54 right now. Just go up there right now. Nobody's going to get angry at you. Nobody's going to say you duck. But if you do this Teofimo Lopez move, you're a duck.
Yeah, because this is what it's, and it's not the dialogue around it, but we got to look at the actions, because what they're going to say is they're going to look, because people are not going to be around to have these conversations other than the people that's going to write the articles. Now you can always find an article that's pro you or against you, pro and con articles, right? But they're going to look back and say, okay, well, when he went over there with Eddie, what happened? And they're going to look back and they say, oh, okay, well, we got a Quran we got an Avanesian, we got a Stanionis, and we got a Tio. So the Stanionis, that's the game changer right there, because that's when you got the legacy joint. You know what I'm saying? That's when you silence the mass and say, I'm legacy now, motherfuckers. So now what? If you say, all right, I want Norman, and then he say, I want you, and then you go ahead and you do this TO shit, you can go through the same thing that happened when the second time when you fought Karen and you was like, man, I don't know, man, maybe I should go to 54. I don't get up for these guys. Like, are you gonna get up for TO, or is it gonna get toxic? Because remember, once that fight get announced and it get booked, it's gonna get very toxic. And for the kind of person, the respectable person I know in Boots, the one who, you know what I'm saying, he'll stand up straight Philly. I don't really do much talking. And you know how them Philly niggas, I ain't doing all that yip yapping. It's gonna get toxic.
Yeah.
It's gonna get toxic dealing with Senior and all them. I don't think you're gonna really have to deal. But then, I mean, either way, it's father son. But I just think that legacy wise, Brian Norman is the answer if you're gonna stay. If you're not gonna stay, let part 2 of your killing spree commence at 54. You got Bakram, you got Virgil. You can go get you can go up there. After Bud done ran through him, after Virgil done ran through him, you can get you a Madrimov to start the party off, and then go on your killing spree after that. That just make logical sense. But having your shit over there in Eddie hands, we gonna look back at the resume and the signings and what actually happened when you was affiliated with him, and people not gonna be around to massage the conversations in your favor. They're just gonna look back at the black and white. Oh, when did he fight? Why did he fight him? And why? Hold on. You mean tell me he fought T.O. and that was his first fight? Oh man. And we gonna see if that aged well.
Yeah. Now,
so that's it.
Just to land my plane, I'm gonna say it like this. We as fans appreciate what Jerome Boots Ennis brings to the boxing game. For people like myself, and I could also say Body, because we're such big fans of you, when you fuck up, we want to be critical on you to say, listen, this is not, you know, just from a fan perspective, this is not something we expected of you. You know, we expected, or we expect you to be a little bit more busier. We expect for you to, you know, look at fights and not just say, oh, I got a belt now, or I'm this now, so I only want the biggest fights. Yeah, sometimes the biggest fights ain't the fights that are talking about competition wise. We're talking about just two big ass names. You know what I'm saying? So I appreciate what Boots. I appreciate the lane that Boots is trying to carve out for himself. You know what I'm saying? I could see what he's doing. You know, but again, if you're not going to go after Brian Norman Jr. and everyone's trying to talk legacy fights, you feel what I'm saying? Your biggest issue right now is it's ironic. You're in an ironic position, because what people said about you and Errol Spence and Bud when y'all was in that triangle, why won't the other two champions give you your shot? You feel what I'm saying? You deserve your shot, blah, 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 blah. For the belt, Bud and them don't want to fight you, and you know, you were their mandatories and all of this other stuff. You know, you inherited mandatories, Bud inherited you as a mandatory. Now Giasov is an inherited mandatory and shit like that. Now you understand. Now you're starting to see what some of those issues were. And that's just talking the business of boxing. How you can become the star and then inherit a whole bunch of bullshit. Yeah. That it's like, oh man, I ain't really trying to get up for that. Yeah, but you inherited it. Was Bud trying to get up for Jerome Boots in this fight? He said he'll fight you, but the fight never came to fruition at 47. So here it is. Now you've inherited basically 3 mandatories in a short amount of time. Quran, Giasov, and Rolly. So it's like, Boots, understand what people were saying about you when they were saying the other champions were ducking you. Now you're in that same type of position, not the same exact same type of position. Whereas everybody at that weight class is calling for you to give Brian Norman Jr. his shot. You feel what I'm saying? But you don't want to give Brian Norman his shot at getting 3 belts and the Ring magazine, but you'll give Teofimo a shot at getting your 2 belts and your Ring magazine title. Bro, that shit ain't gonna age well, my nigga. Just go up to 47. Fuck that go up to 54. If you're not looking for Brian Norman, just go up to 54. That's the statement. So until you understand that, Boots, it might get even a little bit more weirder for you coming closer to your Giasov fight if that actually happens.
Yeah. Good point, man. Good logic, man. Good cook as always, man. Thanks for your contribution, AC.
Yeah, for sure, man. You know this is where, you know, where people come to get that conversation, because here's the funny thing. You converted Bills, whether he wanted to admit it or not, bro. Bills is a slow conversion, but his subconscious ain't realized it yet. So at the end of the day, man, yo, listen, it's like Bill was cooking tonight, man. He was doing this thing tonight. So was Johnny Allison. He was going in the comments. I was like, bro, you cooking. I can fuck with 80% of what you saying, but you cooking, my guy. You feel what I'm saying? So I guess this is where people are starting to come and gravitate towards, like, listen, if I want to hear something that's common sense, dudes is doing critical thinking, and have me say, is that a possibility? Is that a great question to be asked? Yeah, I think so. You feel what I'm saying? So again, Body, man, great show, man. That's all I can say, man. It's always a pleasure for me to come up here and chop it up with you.
I appreciate it, man. And I'm gonna talk to you, but you gonna go ahead and you gonna dip out. But I'm gonna speak to something you just said when you roll out. I'm gonna close and I'm gonna shut it down.
Yeah, I'm gonna just shut it. I'm gonna just pull. I'll be in the chat. Let me just put it that way.
All right, man. Peace. Yeah, but to speak to the point, man, the conversations we have, and they are doing work, because we did a segment, and we was basically talking about Tank, and I was highlighting how, you know, I ride by Upton Gym. If you go up the hill on Pennsylvania Avenue and you look to your right, you will see Upton Gym, and I was talking about how they giving it back to the community and all the things that Coach Calvin was doing. And lo and behold, a couple days later, old Sugar Daddy Sheik highlighted the gym. So these conversations, man, they don't fall on deaf ears, man. I know it. You know what I'm saying? And really what the purpose of this channel is, silence is consent, meaning that all it takes for evil to prevail is for grown men and women to remain silent. So we tend to speak to things. You know what I'm saying? We tend to try to motivate your critical thinking skills. That's why I say we don't take things for face value. We do that body work. I mean, we don't just take what's going on. We got to piece it together like a puzzle. We got to go back in the dark room, you know, where they use the red lights and they let that film develop until the picture get real clear. And then we speak about it. We don't just run with the first thing we hear and what we see. We not looking at trash boxes and this and this and that. We are objective. And we're really fans of them all. We might like some of them more than we like others, but we fans of them all. You know what I'm saying? So it was a good cook as always, man. My point is this, man. Regardless of what happened with Boots, because one man can't, you know, base his career on another. Boots can't base his career around Norman. Norman can't base his career around Boots. Neither one of them can base their career around T.O. and his foolishness. You know, but what they can do is run their race the best they can. Don't let these promoters, like Bill say, get in their way and, you know, hamstring their careers. Because I did a piece a while ago, and I was hoping Boots don't go down this path, but I had did a piece. Go back and look at it. It was about Jamar Charlo, and I said, did they age him out? I think it was like, it's 2 or 3 years old now, but I said, did they age him out? Look at what he went through when he was on top, and now he's just now coming back around. And this boxing can't even get funny, man. It could take an injury, it could take something to happen in your personal life, and then you off track. Grab your career by the horns. Make your promoter work for you. You know what I'm saying? Make your promoter do what you, because you're the star, you're the talent. Do what you got to do. I think that Norman is in a perfect spot to where if he fight, he's in position. He go over there and win, handle business with Jen, which I think he gonna knock Jen the fuck out. You know what I'm saying? He'll be in a better position. He'll have more leverage. If he get the Boots fight, the fans will be ecstatic. You know what I'm saying? But if Boots decide to get T.O. and then move up to 54 and all that, he's in an excellent position. Then he becomes the big fish in the small pond. I just hope that we get the Boots and Norman fight. I think Brian Norman is, according to recent activity, the knockout streak, him, you know, going against the tide and against the grain, because I don't think Top Ring had lined it up for him to actually be in the position that he is. He just keep proving people wrong. And the more people get to know him, the more people take the toxicity out. You know what I'm saying? Because we always say rose-colored glasses, but if you get your shit-colored glasses, take those off. You know what I'm saying? Get you some clear view type glasses, you know, or some bifocals so you can see clear and listen to what Senior is saying. You'll have a more productive outlook on the conversations around boxing, and your conversations will actually go somewhere other than just regurgitating rhetoric. Hopefully hit my like button, man. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, subscribe to the channel. My Cash App work, my Super Chat work. I appreciate everybody who came in the building, man, from Johnny Allison, Al Montes came in, AC, of course, he got up and cooked. Bills was here, Crush the Legend was here, Daniel MG was here, Best out of that 815 was in the building, his twin, Roman, Ringside Reactions, Cookie, Easily Baked. We had a full house, Cookie Monster. You know what I'm saying? I appreciate y'all all, man. I appreciate the love. This is the 300. Hopefully you was able to put something in your rucksack and you can march on with that. Until the next time, you know what I'm saying? Have a good, productive rest of the week. Thanks for tuning in here with Bodywork Boxing. Well, we don't take things for face value. We do that body work.
He didn't want to box. He wanted to actually prove that he could punch with you. He was like, what the fuck is this nigga? Right? Oh, okay, you want to go to sleep. You tired.
Welcome to Bodywork.